Welcome to Mindful Moments. Nourish your mind on the go. This audio uses AI narration to present our original book analysis. Today we're diving into The Battle of the Labyrinth. It's the fourth book in Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. It's summer. Percy's back at Camp Half-Blood. You know, that haven for demigods. You'd think he'd catch a break, right?
Well, trouble seems to follow Percy everywhere. Even at his new school, Good High, he runs into trouble. Some monstrous cheerleaders, you could say.
Monstrous how? Not just bad choreography, I hope.
Much worse, they're impuzi. These vampiric demon things. They're drawn to demigod energy like moths to a flame. It's a clever way Riordan throws us into the action, showing that nowhere is safe for Percy.
Okay, so danger's lurking everywhere, check. What's the big overarching problem this time?
Luke, that fallen demigod working for the evil titan Lord Kronos, is trying to find a way to navigate the labyrinth. But this isn't your typical hedge maze. We're talking a vast network of tunnels, created by Daedalus, the legendary inventor. Entrances are scattered all over the world, and the paths shift and change. It's incredibly dangerous.
So the battle is literal and a metaphor for the challenges they face.
Exactly. It represents not only physical danger, but also the internal struggles Percy and his friends go through. The labyrinth becomes a test of their courage, their strategic thinking, and their understanding of its intricate design. Brute force won't be enough here.
And who better to tackle this than Annabeth, daughter of Athena, goddess of wisdom? She practically eats architecture and ancient history for breakfast.
She's been obsessed with the labyrinth since she was little, and now she's leading the quest. She's convinced that finding Daedalus's workshop is the key to stopping Luke. Her leadership skills really shine in this book.
She even bends the rules a bit. To recruit Percy, Grover, and Tyson for the journey right. Talk about a dream team, or maybe a nightmare considering what they're facing.
And of course, no quest is complete without a prophecy, which sets an ominous tone. This one thinks at dangerous choices, and the heavy sacrifices they might have to make. But as we know, prophecies in Riordan's world are never straightforward, always full of twists and turns.
So they plunge into this ever-changing maze, where the air is thick with tension, and danger lurks around every corner. I bet the descriptions in the book really bring that to life, that feeling of claustrophobia and disorientation.
Riordan excels at this. He creates these vivid landscapes, filled with monstrous creatures, making the labyrinth itself feel like a living, breathing entity, like when they encounter Kempe, the dragon woman guarding Tartarus. That's primal fear right there.
You mentioned internal struggles earlier. Are those connected to specific places or characters they encounter in the maze?
Absolutely. The Ranch of the Sun, for example, becomes this microcosm of the larger war between the gods and titans. It's ruled by the through-bodied rancher Geryon, a son of Ares, and the whole place is morally ambiguous. It makes you question who's truly on the side of good and what loyalty really means.
So even within this crazy maze, there are layers of complexity and moral dilemmas.
Definitely. It's not just about fighting monsters, it's about the choices they make along the way. Then there's Nico D'Angelo, son of Hades, who's trying to bring his sister back from the dead. Talk about forbidden magic. His story adds this whole other layer of emotion and moral ambiguity.
Wow, so much going on. And we haven't even gotten to Daedalus himself yet, the creator of this whole mess. What's his deal?
That's where things get really interesting. Percy starts having these dreams, visions of Daedalus's past, his imprisonment, the accidental death of his nephew. It reveals the tragic backstory of this genius inventor, the duality of his nature, creation and destruction all rolled into one.
Sounds like Daedalus holds the key to understand not just the labyrinth, but the whole conflict.
You got it. And understanding him might be their only hope of stopping Luke and saving Camp Half-Blood. But that's a conversation for the next part of our deep dive. And as they get closer to Daedalus's workshop, it's like the labyrinth fights back even harder. Dead ends, shifting pathways, a whole parade of terrifying creatures. It's as if the maze itself is testing their resolve.
And the clock is ticking too right. Luke and his army are also in the labyrinth. They're trying to reach Daedalus first. I can only imagine that sense of urgency.
Absolutely. Plus, Percy's dreams get more disturbing. Visions of Daedalus making a deal with Kronos. Camp Half-Blood under attack. It's a brilliant way Riordan foreshadows the danger and raises the stakes even higher.
So they're racing against time, knowing that if Luke gets to Daedalus first, he could get the key to navigating the maze and launch a full-scale invasion.
And it all hinges on Daedalus. Remember those tragic glimpses into his past? Well, those choices, driven by grief and anger, they led him down a dark path. Now he's faced with a chance for redemption, to help the demigods instead of Kronos.
But it's a tough call. He's mortal bound to the labyrinth. Kronos offers him freedom, a way out. And let's be real, the demigods haven't exactly treated Daedalus with respect. They practically view him as a traitor.
This is where the moral complexity gets really interesting. It's not just black and white. Daedalus has to weigh his past mistakes, the potential consequences, and who he ultimately wants to side with. In this cosmic battle...
So it's decision time. They finally reach the workshop, a hidden chamber deep within the labyrinth. The atmosphere has got to be thick with tension.
Absolutely. It's a standoff. The demigods, Daedalus and Kelly. That impausa working for Kronos. All the choices, all the struggles they've faced lead to this pivotal moment.
And then what happens? Don't leave me hanging.
Kelly drops a bomb. Daedalus has made a deal with Kronos. He's given him a way to navigate the labyrinth. And the attack on Camp Half-Blood is imminent. It seems like all hope is lost.
Wow. That's a gut punch. After all that, they still failed.
But here's the twist. Daedalus has a change of heart. He realizes the true cost of his deal, the destruction it will bring. He chooses to help the demigods escape, but it comes at a price.
A price. What does he have to give up?
His own life. Daedalus sacrifices himself to destroy the labyrinth. His final invention triggers a massive explosion, collapsing the tunnels, sealing off Kronos' army. A heroic act, but definitely bittersweet.
Sacrifice seems to be a theme here. Wasn't Nico struggling with a similar choice?
Yes. Nico, after speaking with the spirit of his sister Bianca, realizes that clinging to the past won't bring her back. He lets go of his grief and helps the demigods escape, abandoning his plan to resurrect her. It's a powerful moment of growth, understanding the true meaning of family, and moving on.
And Rachel, the mortal girl, she plays a crucial role too, right?
Absolutely. She faces her fears head on, helping them navigate the labyrinth, putting herself in incredible danger. It's a reminder that heroism isn't limited to demigods. It's about doing what's right, even when you're terrified.
So they escape this chaotic, symbolic maze, but at a great cost. What state are they in when they get back to Camp Half-Blood?
Battered. Physically and emotionally, they've faced challenges, made difficult choices, and lost people along the way. But they're also stronger, more aware of what's at stake. They've learned valuable lessons about themselves, about good and evil, and the importance of fighting for their beliefs.
But the war is far from over, right?
Not even close. The final battle is still looming, but that's for the final part of our deep dive.
So they make it back to Camp Half-Blood. But it doesn't sound like things are exactly peaceful. What's the atmosphere like?
There's this wave of grief and loss, washing over the camp. They just found out about Pan, the wild god of nature, being dead. It hits the satyrs hard, especially Grover. He's spent his life searching for him.
Pan's death. It's more than just a personal loss, isn't it?
It's deeply symbolic. It represents the fading of the wild, the encroachment of civilization, and the growing strength of the Titans. It forces the satyrs to confront their own purpose in a world that seems to be forgetting them.
And how do they react to this? Surely there's some disagreement on how to move forward.
Absolutely. The Council of Cloven Elders. They're stuck in the old ways. They refuse to believe Pan is gone, clinging to hope, wanting to continue the search. But for others, like Grover, the reality is sinking in. It's a painful clash between tradition and a changing world.
This internal struggle. It's got to be hard to deal with that, while also facing the threat of a Titan invasion.
And just when tensions are high, Kronos makes his move. His army pours out of the labyrinth, led by Dristani and the giant Antaeus. It's brutal, a desperate fight for survival.
Talk about bad timing. This is it. The climax, the moment of truth. How do they stand a chance?
They fight bravely, using all their skills. But they're outnumbered, outmatched. And just when all hope seems lost, something incredible happens. Grover, heartbroken over Pan's death, unleashes this primal scream. It's the sound of pure terror and despair, and it has an unexpected effect.
Wait, his scream, does it boost their powers or something?
Not quite, but even more powerful. The sound is so primal, so full of raw emotion, that it terrifies Kronos' army. They flee in terror. It's a testament to the unexpected power of grief, and how even the most unlikely heroes can rise to the occasion.
So they win. But it sounds like a victory tinged with sadness.
It's bittersweet. They've lost Daedalus, and Grover is devastated by Pan's death. The prophecy still hangs over Percy, a reminder that his 16th birthday is coming, and with it, the final showdown with Kronos.
There's this sense of impending doom, even though they just won a major battle.
Exactly. The Battle of the Labyrinth ends on a note of uncertainty, a pause before the storm. But they've grown. They understand the stakes, and they've proven they can face impossible odds.
So what does it all mean? for us, the listeners.
This book isn't just a thrilling adventure. It's an exploration of identity choice and the power of belief. These young demigods, they face constant challenges, pushing them to their limits, forcing them to make tough decisions.
And those choices have consequences, not just for them, but for the fate of the world. Makes you think about your own choices, doesn't it?
It's a story that resonates with everyone, regardless of age. It's about finding your place, facing your fears, the importance of friendship and loyalty, and holding on to hope even in the darkest times.
We've only scratched the surface here. To truly experience the depth of the Battle of the Labyrinth, you have to dive in yourself. We highly encourage you to pick up a copy. You can find a link in the show notes. And to make sure you don't miss any future deep dives into incredible books, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back soon with another journey into the world of literature.